Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Iris Acker, and I am your host today. Let's meet our panel first up. Michael McKeever. He's an actor, he's a playwright, he's a set designer, and a graphic artist, we shouldn't forget that. Karen Stevens is an actress and a writer. Bill Hirschman is a theater critic and an arts journalist. And our very, very special guest today is the lovely Leslie Uggams. I don't have to name your credits because mentioning your name, everyone knows. Leslie, you were the first African American to host your own variety series. And here you are again, you're a woman of firsts. The first African American to play Mame.
Yes, yes.
At Wick Theater. Yeah. We'll hear a lot about that as well. But is that heavy on your head being the first of everything? Really, it could be quite heavy for an actor.
Well, you
Tell
know,
me.
I never really think about, oh my gosh, you know, I'm the first. Yes, I know that. But if the project is not interesting, then I could care less about being the first. But it's a great opportunity to do Mame. Some years ago, Jerry had really wanted me to do it.
That is Jerry Herman.
Jerry Herman. And at the time, the estate wasn't sure if they thought that it could work with an African American because of when she goes down to the South. And you know, that big scene. But to me, it's even funnier now. when she goes there, you know, to this plantation. And so it's
Mama.
And Mama.
Whoa.
You know, and Mama's worried about her being a Yankee. Now she's going to find out she's a chocolate drop too.
Do they mention that? Have they added that?
No. We're just playing the show, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, which makes it even better, and not trying to write some special kind of lines about it. But first of all, what Mame is wearing is funny enough. You know, when she goes down there to meet
Madame Beauregard.
Ms. Burnside, you know. But I also, you know, recently did Gypsy, which was the first time an African American could work with.
Another
you know,
friend.
The thing about that is that I'm telling the story. Sure, when I come out, you look at me and you go, okay. But then if I'm not doing my job in making you lose yourself in the story, then I'm not doing it right. And so far, knock on wood, it's worked. It's worked very, very well.
Doing a job with the words and the music. Oh, the songs.
Yes. And of course, Walked Into My Life is a song that I've become associated with. You know, when Jerry gave me that to sing in Jerry's Girls, it became sort of like my anthem. And then when I did the Hollywood Bowl, and with all of us, and then everybody got to see me sing it. And so if I do my show, if it's not in the show, it has to be an encore because I'm so associated with that song.
How did you meet Jerry Herman? You obviously have this wonderful relationship with him, and no one sings his songs better than you. How did you two meet? How did that relationship begin?
Years ago when he wrote Milk and Honey, my manager took me to opening night. And I got to meet Jerry at the party after the show, and he said to me, you know, we got to work with each other someday, you know. And then socially, we used to always run into each other or be invited to the same parties. And you know, he would sit down at the piano, and then I would sing something with him. He says, we've got to do something together. I said, I keep hearing you say that, so when are we going to do it? And then one day, the telephone rang, and Jerry says, Leslie, would you like to do like a show for 8 weeks with me? And I said, yeah, it sounds great. He said, you know, with Carol Channing. And I was like, what? And Adrian McConnell, what? He said, I have this great idea for the three of you, and it'll just be 8 weeks. We'll have a lot of fun. And so that's how Jerry and I really started working together. And that 8 weeks turned into 48 weeks.
Wow.
And then eventually, you know, went to Broadway. And Jerry said, you just add some flavor to my music that I really like. So we've
coming
been
from
close
Jerry.
ever
I was going to
since.
say, what a great
What a
compliment.
yeah, coming from him.
Yes, yes.
That's nice. And
Are
here
there
you are.
songs of his that you're not associated with that you really love, that you want to sing, or that people don't realize you've got a special connection with?
Well, I've sung them all. Time Heals Everything is also a great song that I
Mac
love.
and Mabel.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that score is just phenomenal. And I Won't Send Roses. I love that song. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. But I mean, Jerry writes, wonderful music. And so every time I've done a show and not even thinking about it, somehow one of his songs is always in my show.
Nice.
Well, we're going to keep talking about the music, but you know who I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about Kizzy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, I do want to say that I watched your variety show when I was a little girl.
Yes.
I was a newt at the time, but Roots, the miniseries,
Yeah.
Yes.
So our audience knows what you're talking about.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Roots, the miniseries, was a phenomenal piece of work to come along at the time that it did.
Yes.
And the role of Kizzy was such an iconic role, still is. All you have to
Yes.
do is say the name Kizzy and everybody knows that it. How does it feel to be associated with creating such an iconic
I
role?
love it. I really wanted to do that role. When I auditioned for it, they had given me 3 scripts with different characters in there. And when I read Kizzy, I said, oh, I want to do that role. I want to do that role. And I went through a long audition process. Then once I got the role, then they said, okay, now we have to see if you can pull off being Ben Vereen's mother. And I did this screen test that was a disaster because the people who were doing the makeup didn't know what to do with my skin and how to wrinkle it. And so, I mean, they were gluing in this and hair dryers. And,
Hey.
and when they finished with me, I looked like a mummy. And I walked onto the set for the producer, and he looked at me, and I thought, I've lost this role. And I went home, I was like in tears. I said to my husband, I'm gonna not get this part because the makeup was terrible. I look like a mummy, like that. And it was my husband who turned around and said, you know what, I'm gonna find out who did Cicely Tyson's makeup for Jane Pittman. He found out who it was. He called Stan Winston. And Stan Winston had not heard about the project yet. And he said, oh, that sounds interesting. Come on over. We went over to his house. The man couldn't have been lovelier. He loved what it was going to be. He said, I'll do your makeup. I got another screen test.
Oh, how nice.
And that's how I finally got the role.
Great
and he was
story.
so brilliant
Yeah.
that he wound up doing the rest of the makeup in the show. But it was like meant to be. And of course, Alex Haley was just a dream, and he was on the set, and we'd get to talk to him, and it was. We felt special. We knew something special was going on, but we had no idea.
I was going to say, did you really, when you were filming it, did you have any idea that it was going to become this iconic show?
None whatsoever. So we were like stunned when we got that reaction. Once it was shown. And then all of a sudden you'd be somewhere and people would kind of look at you. And then as it went on, and the fact that people stayed home to watch this show, restaurants, bars were saying, we have a big screen, we're showing Roots, to get people to come to the restaurant. I was in Vegas when it first came on. Casinos were empty.
Wow.
Anne Margaret called me up on the phone. She was appearing at the Hilton, and she said to me, Leslie, she said, I had to change the show time because we're all watching Roots. and so the show times changed because people would watch Roots, and then they would go down to the casino or go see the shows. But I mean, it was just nothing like it had ever happened.
Wow. That's
phenomenal.
amazing.
And it's
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah, and of course we also remember we only had like 4 television stations. We didn't have to
Right.
compete with
Sure.
cable and you know DVDs.
Were we able to even tape back then?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah, I
think
think
so.
VCR,
We weren't.
maybe
We weren't.
VCR.
I don't remember.
There were no VCRs.
No.
No.
But I know, Leslie, you had a wonderful beginning. I'd love to know why you, at 5 years old, no, 6,
Six.
6 years old, giving your age away, 6 years old, to play Ethel Waters' daughter.
Well, her niece. I got to play her niece.
Oh, her niece, her
Strictly
niece.
an audition process, which my mother didn't take me to the audition. It was a friend of the family who always thought that I had some talent, and my parents said, "Oh yeah, she's cute. She sings, you know," but they didn't think in terms of this show business here. And so she took me to this audition, and I wound up getting the role of her niece, who knew all about baseball. That was the theme
That was the
of this,
yeah.
of this my story. And Ethel was a housekeeper of this
This was
family.
Beulah.
At Beulah was
Right.
the name
Yeah,
of the
Beulah,
show.
the thing.
And Julie Wilson was her boyfriend.
Oh.
That was, yes. And so the whole story was that I knew more baseball than the young man in the house knew. And he was like, everybody was like shocked, and we've had this great friendship. But she was so nice to my mother and I. And at the time, she was also doing Member of the Wedding. So she invited my mother and I to see her and Julie Harris and Brandon
Wow.
DeWile in this phenomenal play. And she took a liking to us, and every time she would do like these soirees, she would invite my mother and I, and there I would sit in the audience and she would be singing. It was just unbelievable, unbelievable.
What a great beginning.
Yes,
Great beginning.
yes.
But you really started, you were a singer. This was an acting gig. But from there, your whole career took off as a singer. I say you became a star. Was it Hallelujah, Baby?
Well, Hallelujah Baby for Broadway, yes. That was my...
That really,
yeah.
But leading up there,
Well, leading
was-
up to it, I had, first of all, I started taking acting lessons when I was 8.
Oh.
I was studying with a teacher called Peter Haller, and Sal Mineo and I, we were in the same class. And so off and on I was taking acting, because at that time there were schools where you took singing and dancing. I was a tap dancer, I was a hoofer, and singing, acting, and tap dancing. And during that time, the Apollo discovered me on an amateur hour radio show that they had, and they couldn't get rid of me. Really, I just kept winning every week, and so finally, the Schiffmans, who owned the Apollo at the time, said, we're going to put an act together and we'll put her at the Apollo, which they did.
Whoa.
And my first appearance,
how old were you then? Can I?
I was 9. And my first appearance was with Louis Armstrong.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So that was really my school of learning how to perform in front of an audience. Then my second appearance there was with Ella Fitzgerald. And then my third appearance was with Dinah Washington.
Oh, stop.
You know, so I worked with all these incredible people from the time I was 9 till I was 16 years old. And so I called the Apollo Theater, was my school of learning my craft. Because if you could make it there, you could make it anywhere. Because when they didn't like you, vegetables, fruits would come flying on the stage, you know. And we did 29 shows a week.
Wow.
That's all.
You know, it was 5 on Sunday, 4 shows a week.
goodness.
And so therefore, you know, when theater finally came my way and they said 8 shows a week, I said, no problem.
And the first Broadway show you did, I think you said, was The Boyfriend?
The Boyfriend.
You played the English
Hello.
ingenue?
I played Julie Andrews' role up at a theater at the Berkeley University, and was very successful. And because of that, the people involved with Hallelujah Baby had heard about me doing this role and how successful it was going, and so they wanted me to audition when I came back to New York. And I couldn't because I had a gig in Atlantic City at a club called the Harlem Club. And so now you have Julie Stein, Betty Comden, Adolph Green, and Arthur Lorenz coming down to Atlantic City, to a black club, to see if I really could do the singing. And I, did my act. And it was kind of funny because, in the sea of chocolate with some vanillas sitting there. And that was my audition, the singing part. Then when I finished my gig, then I went to New York, and then they wanted to see if I could act. And I had to read. And David Merrick at the time was the producer.
Wow.
And I did my reading, and I looked over, and he was sound asleep. And I thought, this is not going well.
That's a wonderful story.
But the thing about it too is that it was written for Lena.
Oh, yes.
Arthur had written the musical for Lena Horne, and she said she turned it down. And so that's when they decided they wanted to go with somebody that really was new on the scene, and that was the way they wanted to go. And I was, thank you, Lena.
And you got a Tony Award.
Yes.
For your first Broadway show.
My first Broadway show.
Wow.
Believe that, yes.
And I had no idea what Tony Awards meant. I didn't know anything when they came back saying to me, congratulations. And I said, oh, okay. You've been nominated. And I thought, for what? I was so green. I knew nothing.
Not wonderful.
But
Well, speaking of Lena Horne, though, you've put together a show about Lena Horne, correct?
well, this woman named Charlene Cooper Cohen has written a script about Lena Horne and asked me to look at it. And I thought it was really fascinating because it takes place from the Cotton Club till the time she does her one-woman show. And so we did 2 productions. We did one at the Pasadena Playhouse, and we broke the 96-year house record.
Wow.
Nice.
And we played the Prince Theater. We broke all records there. But theater today, it's not easy to just go unless, you're Hugh Jackman or somebody like that. And there's 2 Lenas in this. I play one part, and then there's a younger Lena. It's very wonderful the way
Sounds lovely.
they are interwoven with each
you can
other.
see.
And so, they're waiting for one of these lovely pop stars to say, I'm ready to do 8 shows a week. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
You've
Exactly.
played so many different theaters. Here you are now at the Wick, currently
Yes.
portraying Maine
Yes.
in a theater that's adjacent to a museum. And the costumes that you're wearing, I wonder if they were the original Broadway costumes.
Well, some of them will be, and some of them won't be. We're all different body types, so we'll see. But
that's
they
it.
all are coming out of. Marilyn bought all these costumes that Eve's Costume House used to have. When
Yes.
I started out, that was the costume house that you would go to, and they would do stuff for you television-wise as well. And so she's got all these incredible costumes. I was like blown away.
Yes, your first time to see that
To
museum.
see that
Unbelievable.
museum, it is spectacular, and the way she's incorporated how the costumes can move, and it's fascinating. And anybody that should go and see this museum because it's incredible.
Yeah, we're going to do another show with her about the museum.
Oh, great.
We've got to have
Yes.
the new museum. Got to have everybody see it. Yeah, very good.
You've had such an incredible career. It's been so varied with film and television and live theater. Do you have a favorite, or is it just applying your talents to different mediums, or do you prefer being in front of a live audience? Or
I love being in front of a
Yeah.
live audience, only because you get the reaction right away. When you do a television, I just filmed Nurse Jackie, which will be on next season, and it's her last season, and I love that. But there's nothing like standing out there on the stage and listening to the audience reaction, and right away, yay or nay. And I love people, so I love interacting with people. And even when I'm doing a musical, you feel them breathing. And, there's nothing like that. Nothing like that.
You've worked with some iconic people in your career.
Yes.
Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. What was it like to work with these guys?
Well, of course, FS, I call him.
Yes, and FS. Yes.
Frank Sinatra. I mean, he was such an icon. It was intimidating, you know, at first. But he appreciated people who worked hard, and he liked that I could phrase. You know, he was very big on how you phrase in a song. So he was always complimentary to me. And then I did a special with him that he had, and we did Lady is a Tramp. And that was the first time that I got to do a duet with him, and it was magical, magical. And of course, Sammy, he was a friend as well as a talent that I was like blown away with, because he could do anything. And we would get invited up to his house, and we'd hang, and sometimes he would cook, or he'd have somebody else cook, and we'd just sit and talk. And he was just he had lived such a fascinating life that it was just great to sit there and listen to him talk. And then of course Dean Martin, I got to do his show many, many times, and he was the sweetest man you ever want to know. And he played the thing with liquor, but that really wasn't what he was about. And it was just a great experience. Everybody that I've worked with, I'm always I stand in the wings to learn. When I worked with Carol, I would always watch what she was doing, and everybody that I've ever worked with, because you can't get a better schooling than that when you're working with the masters of their craft.
On-the-job training.
On-the-job training.
Every time. I didn't take classes until I was successful many years later. And they said, well, how did you learn? I said, it was on-the-job training.
Absolutely, absolutely. And especially when theater is such a different kind of animal. That's what I try to tell young people, that it takes no prisoners.
That's right.
Speaking of young
game.
people, it must feel great to know that there are people standing in the wings right now learning from you.
It's wonderful, and also I have to tell you, the great other thing is that YouTube, because all my body of work is on YouTube, so even the kids that are, who are you? Then they Google me. Then they come back to me and, oh my goodness, Ms. Uggams, you did this and you did this. And they even have a thing on YouTube when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
On your show of shows with Sid Caesar and Imogene Coca, which that was another school, because that was live. I got to watch them make up skits, you had Carl Reiner and Howard Morrison and Mel Brooks. And I would be sitting in waiting for my turn to do my little song, and they'd be creating this magic. I mean, what's better than that?
Yes, an education.
Yes.
An education. That's how we all learn. We
Yes.
really do. Not even in our careers in acting and theater, but in everything.
In everything.
Really,
always
you learn
fascinated.
from each other.
I'm always fascinated. There are mornings that you must get up, the alarm clock goes up, and you go, oh my God, I got to go to work. What is it that keeps you going day in and day out for certain projects? What is it that you go, yeah, I'm glad I'm getting to go to work here?
Exactly.
What?
No, seriously. Now I can pick and choose what I want to do.
How nice.
And
yes.
so I want to have fun at the same time. I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I got to go out on the stage, and, do that. So I am just blessed to do projects that I really love to do. I've played women who are not victims. Even if they were a victim, they've turned it into a plus, such as Kizzy, Mame, Mama Rose, all these. I've always played these strong kind of women, single mothers raising their children. So it's been always fascinating, and to be able to get out there every night and tell that story. Even when I played Muzzy in Thoroughly Modern Millie,
Yes,
I mean, she was just joie de vie, and it was just fun to play her. And so therefore, I'm at the theater 2 hours before the curtain goes up.
Yes,
I'm
I
one of those
understand,
people.
yes.
I like to get in there and, oh my gosh, my costumes, and let me have my cup of tea, and I always read my script every single day to
Yes.
make sure that I'm saying the words that the writer wrote and not the words that I wrote.
Are you a vocalizer?
I'm a vocalizer, but I'm this kind of vocalizer. Usually I have young women who take the vocal lessons, and I can hear them, and then I wind up doing what they do. Because really, I'm one of these people that go, ah, and I go out and just do it.
So you're just blessed like that.
Yes, but then I feel guilty when I'm in the theater, I'm not vocalizing, so I said, okay, I better vocalize.
Do you get nervous anymore before you go on, or?
Oh, my adrenaline is always going. And I believe the minute that stops happening, get out of the business.
That's right.
There you
You
go.
know, I'm always like, okay, is this right? Will I remember everything? Will I know my blocking and everything? I'm still as excited as the first time I ever put foot on the stage. Even when I'm doing my own concerts, I'm the same way.
But I would imagine that keeps it fresh. It keeps the energy and the electricity in the air.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't want to do a show going, puff, puff.
No, I agree. I agree with you. It's very. It helps. It helps. I used to teach. I used to tell my students, don't be concerned. That's good. It's
Yes,
good when you're nervous.
absolutely.
It really, of course, Maureen Staple used to throw up before every show.
Oh, good Lord.
So I mean, we have various ways of coping.
Yes,
with,
yes.
but getting on. But here you are, and getting it on is what you're doing here at the Wick Theatre. And is your name different from other names, would you say? Have you made her your own? Is she Leslie Uggams?
Yes, I have. And, you know, I think I'm the first singer that really did the part. Most people have been more of a comedian kind of thing. It's interesting with Jerry's shows how it's like that. And so therefore, I'm more singing, but she's an energizer. So you have to play her that way because she's all over the place. But it's going to be my flavor because of who.
Well, everybody has to join us and see you in Name at the Wick Theatre, because unfortunately our time is up. Is here. It's always too short. Always too short.
yes,
We're just
yes.
getting going, and there's so much more. But Leslie, our panel will be there opening night.
Fabulous.
And this is when this is airing. So they have how many weeks after that? How many weeks?
We're there to the 28th of December, from the 4th to the 28th.
Oh, it's a wonderful way to spend the holidays.
Yes.
With Leslie at the Wick Theatre, and the show is Name. And we always thank you for watching us. Look, all the wonderful people we bring you. We have such a good time too. We're grateful for it as well. So we always ask you to join us every week, and we always ask you to join all the theaters here in South Florida. And to find out what's playing, you just have to go to floridatheateronstage.com, and please go to the theater.